Hi, good evening, everybody.
Good evening, sir.
How are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you. How are you?
Great, great, great. No problem.
Mm.
So yesterday, in our last class, we discussed about the BA, right? Overall, what BA does, how
Mm-hmm.
BA should learn, and
Mm-hmm.
how BA should basically get aligned with the required processes, right? And we had given a homework, right?
Yes, you gave that. You
Yeah,
gave
that right. So
about the B.
yes, could we please start on that, because we'll just share across our thought process so that I can understand you clearly, right? How we can where are the gaps, and how can we brush up better, right? So who want to go first? Pony ma'am, do you want to? Yeah, anybody, please. Pony ma'am, do you want to? Okay, we
Yes,
have
I
a.
can. I can.
Okay,
I can. If
just give me a
anybody.
minute, ma'am. I believe we have a new, a new person among us, Deepika Patel. Could you please, tell us about your overall experience? Like, what have you done? How much experience do you have? And do you have anything, understanding of a BA processes? If you could please.
Um, I don't have any understanding of BA process. I've been working in MNC Bank 14 and a half years, but
Wow.
I never
Okay.
know about this process. This is for me the like totally new. So I
Okay.
have to
Okay.
learn from zero.
So see, we have a new domain expert of banking. 14 years. It's really, we are lucky to have such person within our group, because we're going to learn from you, Deepika ma'am. Because I'm an IT person. There are different experiences we came with, right? And we need to apply. See, BA is basically business knowledge, right? We trying to build a business vision, and we share it with the development team. That's the basic gist we do. Okay, so
Okay.
those lines, whatever I have as an experience, I can utilize or leverage as a domain expert. What is
Oh, okay.
domain? Domain is a business fraternity. We talked about something like railways, air force, or airline industry. So whatever I have worked on, I will leverage my knowledge to a level where I start building on that. So if any banks needs a BA, I'll be Deepika ma'am will be the first overall. So whatever we know, it's our whatever treasure, right? We've acquired that treasure already. Now we'll building our career on top of that, and believe me, it's leveraging to a great level, and we have to share these experiences with other also. Deepika ma'am, just to share with you, this is a kind of a revision class we have started because there were lots of new joinees. I believe we are already missing a couple of them today, but let's get started. So whatever we started, we just done one introductory class last time, and we are going ahead from that, just to make sure, on 14th of December, that's a 10th day from now, we are starting a fresh new batch, and I believe you all will be there, and we'll start learning from scratch, right? We'll start understanding again as far as BA and BA related processes goes, because we have started this okay, Lina ma'am is there. We have started this course to basically get aligned with the whoever joined after, so, certain days, certain weeks, and so on and so forth. So that's why we have started this revision class. But now the new class date has been finalized, so we are starting our new class on 14th December, same time, 9 to 11 o'clock. It'll be on 14th is a Monday, so Monday at 9:30, Wednesday at sorry, Monday at 9, Wednesday at 9, then Friday at 9, and then Sunday at 9. Am I right? Yes. This and we'll be sharing all those schedules with you shortly, within couple of days, so that you can align yourself with those training schedules, and we'll basically start from there, from the first day itself. This was a kind of a revision class we took because there were lots of late joining. So we are trying to understand, trying to basically get in line with the old batch. But now, as we plan for the new batch, there are I believe 3 to 4 new joinees. So we'll basically start learning there as well. We'll complete today's class, and then this class will be merged with that class, the new one, and all the old joinees whoever were joining working in the last batch can join in the next batch as well. Okay, free of cost. You don't have to pay anything extra.
Okay.
So that's the I think news I want to share with you. The date has been fixed, and from 14 we'll start a new batch, which will go up to max 6 weeks. That was the plan, and then there'll be workshops and learning in depth. This was a revision class, so this was kind of, we are trying to crash the course. Okay, which is not good for any new learners, or like you said, you worked with bank, right? So banking experience we can leverage as a BA, but we need to understand the BA's nitty-gritty, BA's usages of word. BA is a kind of IT role overall, so we will be a part of a IT, but still we are a part of business. As in part of business, what I do, I try to collect vision from my stakeholders, from my clients. Okay, stakeholders are basically whoever person who have an interest in developing some solution or building some product, project, or services. Okay, now let me try to explain you what I mean by building a product. Building a product is basically you try to create build a product with some assembly line. Let's try to understand building a product. Even if you're creating something like pens to sell to the industry, writing pen, right? Ballpoint pen or ink pen, whatever it may be, you need to create this pen in 10 different machines. Be it simple like a normal ballpoint pen, that pen get created at 10 different plastic molding machine. Because plastic molding, you have one mold for one shape. So there'll be cap somewhere, there'll be refill created somewhere, there'll be that metallic tip created somewhere else. So like these sort of thing, right? And then we assemble it, and then we after assembling, we'll do some QC, quality control, and then we'll put it to the shelf. Shelf is basically where you try to sell it in the market. So you'll distribute it, and then this distributor will distribute it to the retailers, and they'll start selling it. Okay, so this is a normal process for a product. For a project, a car, project are normally software solutions which we develop. So a company, let's say, what we normally take as an example in our BA class, me working in some company called Infosys or TCS, I go to a yes, there's a company called State Farm, which is an insurance company, comes to me and asks for building an attendance management system enhancement. They have a old system of signing on the registered, right? There's a supervisor who basically vouch for the person's identity. He checks some identity, he missed some, and those are so on and so forth. So we have that system. We move to a 24/7 biometric system, and how we progress it, that solution from understanding requirement to development. This is a project execution. Now how's the support executions? There's a company called State Farm comes to TCS or Infosys saying, "Ki boss, we have certain problem in our parking system, whatever they have in their office." So we built an IT system. We built a support system, a voice call support system. So there'll be a sticker. Whenever somebody wants to park, he will just come and he'll dial a number saying, "Okay, I want to park my car." So my attendant, the support person, support executive, support officer will guide them, like go on level 4. There's a number 24 available, so you can park it over there. So something like that. So how do we build such solution? That's what we're trying to understand. So there are basically 3 different things a BA do. We understand the requirements, we build something called SRS, system requirement specifications, and we present this thing within our company as well as with the client, so that the project is approved, and then we'll hand over this everything to the development team, and they take it from there, right? Does that make sense? Any confusion on this?
No, thank you.
Great. So see, please try to say yes, because I know we are working together, we are learning together, right? So those kind of scenario. So right, so we've understood product, projects, and services. Now we want to understand how BA does this thing, right? In the last class, we've developed certain ideas, we have built certain strategies or certain thought process, so that everybody can share their vision or understanding on how BA works in a normal scenario. So we'll start. It was a homework. So what I have requested everybody to write down certain step what we perform as in BA, right? Write down or think it through. It's not a big or classy homework, but it's basically trying to understand whatever we've learned from the last class and whatever we perceive as a business analyst, right? So who wants to go first? Who has that those points ready? Madhuri ma'am, do
Uh,
you want first?
yes, I can go, but I just wrote the definition kind of thing. It's
Okay,
not
no,
like kind of project.
no problem. We were trying to understand. Please go ahead. Please, try to explain whatever you thought of a BA.
What I understand is that as a business analyst, you gather information from stakeholder or a client
Mm-hmm.
by email, text, meeting, or by calling,
Mm-hmm.
and then figure it out or analyze the information, whatever they gave it to you, and then design it accordingly.
Perfect, ma'am. As a layman, you have explained it perfectly, end to end. That's what we do.
So,
Now, how to present? There are some tools. How to present? How to analyze? There are some tools. How to make it, more look like professional? There's a way to do it. So we use something called template tools and presentation techniques to execute that. Um, does anybody have any a doubt on that or any contradiction with this thought process? No. Thanks, Madhuri ma'am. You've explained it right. Pony ma'am, do you want to go ahead?
Yeah.
Please.
When ready, yeah, they can. Otherwise, yeah, I can. I don't have any problem with that. Yeah, I can.
Please go ahead. It's, you have the baton. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Business requirements, like business analysis take the requirements from the stakeholders,
Right.
and when we take the requirements from the stakeholders, and we'll make a team and we'll discuss about the requirements, and we'll make it that throughout the requirements. And when we it will has that what we call as a
Mm-hmm.
QA, like quality assurance, and we can do that all that, and it will come out with QC, the process
Okay.
inside the requirements,
Uh-huh.
and we'll give it to them back. So whatever they gave the requirements, we can make it in a process, and we can give it to them back. And so there is a lot of process include that. So there is a points and all everything I noted. So I need to tell that
Uh-huh.
requirement life cycle and all the things. There is a requirement life cycle
Okay.
too. Can I, if you want?
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there
please go ahead.
requirement cycle, like a requirement proposition, trace requirements, and we
Mm-hmm.
maintain the requirements,
Mm-hmm.
and prioritize the
Mm-hmm.
requirements when that, and assess the requirements charges and all the things, and we'll get approve the requirements, and scope that flexibility of the requirements and requirement scope, and knowledge check, and enter the
Okay.
process of the requirement. There's a life cycle of the requirement.
Good.
Is anything wrong in that? What I
No. Perfect. You're explaining that requirement part very well. I believe you understood it end to end. That's right.
Yes,
So,
and
as an, BA, please
yeah,
go ahead.
yeah, that analyze that business analysis, it entire that process including in that, and you said that, but there is a lot of other persons who they know much, they know they don't know about the QA and QC, so that's why I don't want to go over there. So this is the what process you said that in the last class on Tuesday. So what I said that the process and the thing
Right.
on BA, the what does BA? Yes,
Right.
yes. BA
Sure.
does like
There's a bit
require
small
gather the
confusion here.
requirements. Yeah, gather the
Right.
requirements
Right.
from
Sure.
stakeholders. Yeah.
Yes. Perfect. You got the BA part correctly end to end. Only we are in a advisory capacity as far as QA/QC goes. I don't perform any QA/QC. QC if team request me. QC for functional testing. If at all team request me. That's not my job. My job is to understand requirement and the requirement life cycle. You explained it so well with the exact technical words we've discussed. So that's really great. Means I really appreciate that thing, right? The other roles, I'm in an advisory capacity. So I advise others, and if they request my help, I go to them. That's all. So QAQC is not my purview. It's not my responsibility. My responsibility is understanding requirement, listing the requirement, evolving the requirement to a solution, try to do some research if I want to, take help from some third party product like we discussed about the iris scanners, the body scanners and the other things. Try to build something called use case diagram, which explains each and every functionality in there. Try to build some high level diagrams where I normally discuss the bird eye view, and normally I don't go to the technology level where I don't list down the technology, or I don't normally symbolize the technology. That's the role of a project manager and the other teams who will take it over from me. Okay, so my responsibility basically almost at a level where I hand over this approved SRS to the development team. That's all BA does. But in case project manager says, as you have suggested, Philips iris scanner, Sony iris scanners, so what we do, we'll try to get it verified or certified from you or approved from you, right? Because the solution which we have created is your baby. As in BA build this solution, BA delivers this solution, BA nurtures this solution like a baby. Okay, and that's how the criticality of BA is. And as in BA, I talk to all major stakeholders, major in the sense high and above normal. These are the top management guys. I normally discuss the solution with the client CEO, CTO, client's product owner. Product owner is a person who have generated that idea, who have envisioned that idea, who have built that idea to life, saying ki we need to improve these things, we need to make our life easier and a better, and so that we have a solution requirement, right? That guy we talked about, VP HR in business, in State Farm, right? In our example. So that's the normal thing, right? So in all other capacity, BA is an advisory, be it agile scrum, be it a QAQC, but we need to understand QAQC because the solution which I have nurtured, I have created, has to be transferred to a correct solution. So I need to make a watch or advise somebody if they are not working correctly, if they are not going in the right direction. So we've understood there are something called software development life cycle. There are something called test cases has to be reviewed and approved in case the development team asks. Even I am approval in functional requirement specification document, which is a document created on basis of SRS document, which BA have been creating, right? I create a SRS document. I build that SRS from scratch, where we include these use case diagram, high level diagrams, and the Excel sheet to to present our data of research and development, so that the solution is finalized and approved and then handed over to IT. Does this make sense? Anybody having any questions on these processes?
No.
Okay, Lina ma'am, do you want to explain in your word what do you feel, or how do you learn about BA in our last class?
What I understood of what I have been, attending the classes, BA is like a bridge between the
Great.
stakeholders and the developer. So, I
Wow,
mean,
great.
because since they cannot talk to each other and, directly interact, so BA's job is to bridge between two understanding and two, like two
Mhm.
entities.
Very rightly said. Very correct. So BA is a bridge between a non-technical, that's a business team, and a technical team, that's a development team. Perfectly said. Any more additions to that?
Uh, I think that is what it is, right? And then everybody is like, I have understood it very well that they get the requirement, and they, as the name says, they analyze everything, and uh, going front and back, and then pass it on to the technical team, and then test everything again, and then deploy everything. So.
Great. So see,
I mean, they can use various methodology depending on the team and their requirement,
right.
but then there are various methodology that you touch base.
Right, very right. We are part of organizational processes. So
Right.
I use these software development methodologies, right? So we've seen a
Yes.
couple of them. We normally work with Agile Scrum, which we're going to learn in depth from Sunday onwards, Monday
Sure.
onwards to be
Sure.
precise. So, but pardon me. So as I said, as in BA, we are in an advisory capacity for all other things except the SRS building. Just give me a minute, please. As far as other, technologies or techniques go, those are kind of additions to the BA careers, right? So if I know QA/QC well, I know how to make sure whatever I have developed as a solution or whatever thought process or a vision I have developed as a solution is getting implemented correctly. So that QA/QC process, the SDLC process support me as an BA so that I can be a really critical resource for organizations. So whenever the organization thinks of laying off, I'll be the last person, because the way organizations feel, I can work across the bands. I can, really helping the development team to understand the solution in depth so that I can review the test cases. Test cases are the functionalities to be tested, to be verified, to be validated, right? So as a BA, whatever functionalities of the solution which have included in the SRS has to be checked if the solution have included those functionality in the execution. If yes, then solution is completely correct with the client requirement. So I can assure 100% satisfaction, or the best possible satisfaction can be leveraged from the client, right? This is what we do in QA/QC processes. We try to gather the best satisfaction possible for a for a new engagement or even engagement for that matter. Engagement is the relationship between two persons, two entities, like two companies. Here we were talking about Infosys and State Farm. Infosys as a development partner, where I am working as an BA, and State Farm is a basically client who is asking for a solution to the Infosys, or a sales manager from Infosys have gone and meet VPHR of a State Farm while they were, they can meet in a bar, they can meet in a, corner shop, whatever it may be. But he expressed an interest of building a new solution to our sales manager. And our sales managers come to me as an BA saying, hey BA, let's go to State Farm and let's try to understand what VPHR from State Farm needs. So whenever we gone and met them with his team and me as an BA with my sales manager from Infosys, we have discussed they are in a need of a new solution called attendance management system enhancement. Now I can use the words the way I want, because me as an BA, I'm going to build this system requirement specification. This is a document which lists down all the functionality in the best standard possible way. So we're going to learn those standard practice, best way to present this, requirement to the business so that they can approve this project, product or services for the development and implementation. That's how the overall processes work, right? Anybody else want to explain their thought process? Lina ma'am, please go ahead. No problem.
No, I have a question. Who decides the methodology, which one to use? Because you analyze as a BA, but to
Right.
put it in a practice, there is a team or a PO, the project manager decides. Who decides that
No,
which
ma'am. Let me come to that. The processes or methodology have been already, what you can say, thought of by organizations, and they normally tweak it. So it's basically normally the quality team they have in place. Because let me talk about Infosys. Infosys is around 24-old company. They have started adapting CMMI processes in early 90s. So they were at CMMI 3, then they moved to CMMI 5. This is one of the framework called capability maturity model, right? And as an organizations, they've decided to adopt this for the best quality possible. And yeah, that was a really, best possible framework at that time. And they were far and few. Nowadays we have many, and we have it's normally thought process of a domain or thought process of a top bosses who believe, as far as what my solution offerings to the market is concerned, this framework suits me. So there are frameworks and methodologies which each and every organization choose, and it is a part of each and every organization culture. They also tweak this methodology according to their needs and fitments, right? So whenever I join an organizations, they'll provide something called induction workshop or induction training. So what this induction training does, it tells me about organizational processes implemented, organizational policy implemented, so that I can adapt to that. So whenever I join an organization, normally companies, matured IT companies, that's where normally Guru Schools BA go. So we have Infosys, TCS. These are all CMMI certified at level 5 organizations. So in the induction, they'll tell you what are the things we have to do as an BA day in, day out. You'll get a complete template of around 10 to 15 pages, which you fill in for an SRS. So what I have SRS first chapter, business requirement summary. There, as we discussed last time, right? I list down the requirement as an came from client. So client sent me an email, or that VPHR sent me an email with a copy to salesperson saying ki I want to enhance my attendance management system because I believe there are lots of creeps, lots of proxy attendance happening, right? So to prevent that, to prevent those leakages, I want to have a biometric system. I want to have an iris scanners and all the bells and whistles with it. So I want to also make this solution common across the globe. So every offices in the world of State Farm will use this solution. So I want to have a centralized database. I want to have this. I want to have a Gajar. I want to have a Mooli, and so on and so forth. So all these things, whatever he lists as in requirement or a wish list, me as an BA analyze those things and put it in a business requirement summary, right? That's the first chapter in SRS. Now there is a second chapter, third chapter, fourth chapter. So I believe there are some 8 chapters in the SRS. This template has been evolved over the years, and as an BA I just fill in the blanks, and each chapter I share this document with the team, and we have tried to build an SRS, right? So there we try to create an SRS and present it to the team so that they can approve the solution. They can allocate the necessary budgets required for the solutions or the procurement needed and so on and so forth, the resource need and everything. And then it can go to the development team. That's the overall work or execution of a BA. So as far as BA goes, the more mature organizations, the more disciplined work I be in. So as far as normal executions at Gurukuls go, we normally have all BA requirements from this matured IT company, which are CMMI level 5 based. Does that answer your question, Lina ma'am? Okay, great. And please feel free to ask questions so that we can learn, even others can learn, right? So now who wants to go next? Pallavi ma'am, do you want to go? Whatever you thought of, whatever you understood as far as the BA process goes?
No, I'm not yet prepared. I'm still learning.
Okay, no problem, no problem. Anybody else? Let's try a senior person. Rupanjali ma'am, do you want to explain in your words what BA does?
Yeah, sure, I can.
Please.
So, as much I understand, the BA day-to-day work is, to understand the business requirement or business needs, and
Mm-hmm.
find the best solution for that requirements, and
Right, very right.
yeah, convert or translate into an application or maybe a operational requirement, and present it in use case or the high level diagram, so that it can be easily understandable for other organization, higher people, like
Mm-hmm.
maybe the stakeholders or the supervisor.
Mm-hmm.
So discuss with them and give the best solution.
Perfect, perfect. Rupanjali ma'am was learning with us from last quite a few weeks. So that's how she explains. She explains the best options, or the best solution available. Yeah. So there are some analyzing of a requirement a BA does as in person. So whatever domain like we talked about Deepika ma'am, right? She's from banking. So if there's a solution of banking, we can leverage her experience. She knows because she worked in a bank, so she knows what you mean by overdraft. What do you mean by there are various technicalities in each and every such domain. So if you have a domain experience, we can leverage that. If you are working in an education system, there is a thought process in that domain as well. So even if you work anywhere, you can leverage that domain because you have seen the environment. You know the specific words they use. Like for a doctor, they use some long cryptic words, right? Whenever you go there, even the medicines are really cryptic to remember. If you go to IT, they speak really big words which have very simple meaning. So this thing also happens. So these domain expertise really leverage a person of a really great advisory capacity. And how do we use these things? We leverage these domain expertise to create best possible options for the given company to be available. So if anybody have any insurance working experience, then State Farm is the right person. State Farm is the right organizations to work with. So how sales manager choose the BA? He'd normally look for whoever BA has a insurance knowledge, or whoever BA work with enhancing attendance management system. Those are really niche skills, niche alignment for a business, right? So whenever you learn such technologies, such product specific product domains, you are getting more and more critical day by day. So if you have 3 years experience as an BA, that makes you really valuable to the organizations. And if you have all these arms and animation like QA QC process, SDSL process knowledge, and the Agile Scrum knowledge, all these Infosys, TCS, they use Agile Scrum on day in day out. Okay, what is Agile Scrum? Agile is one of the software development methodology, and Scrum is basically a way in that a defined and evolved process template and frameworks evolve in that, right? So whenever I join such organizations, I already know the quality processes. So my learning curve will be the least. The way I see, if you've done this training, you'll start working in whenever the induction program completes, because you know these things. You understood these supplementary processes as well. If you look at the other BAs around the globe, they'll just know the BA part of it. So how to gather requirement, how to create use case diagram, what is HLD, how can I build an HLD. But as an you know the QA QC process as well, so that you know what is quality assurance. So what are the quality assurance processes included in Agile Scrum or included in the SDLC lifecycle, whatever they've explained in your induction program. So this is going to help you at your advantages, and that's why we have kept this QAQC and Agile Scrum as a supporting framework, or supporting arms and animation to be the best possible BA in a given organization. Does that make sense what I'm trying to explain? Any confusion here?
No, no.
Okay. Anybody else want to present their thought process as in BA? Swati ma'am, do you want to share your thoughts on what do you think about Tony ma'am? Do you have a question? Please go ahead.
No, I'm listening. You go on.
Okay,
So,
no problem. No
what I
problem.
can say, one
Swati,
more thing. What I'm thinking that couldn't say the properly way. I've totally said that I covered with a total BA entire that evaluation. So I just have
no
to
problem.
follow the step by step. So that's why it's okay.
Right.
Everyone says that if you have a time, I can say it again. No
Yeah,
problem.
please
Yes.
go ahead. That'll be great. No problem. Please go ahead.
Yeah. So what is a BA means? It kind of a gathering requirements from the stakeholders,
Uh-huh.
and uh, like a teamwork, and providing when we take the requirements, first we have to understand the requirements, what is that, and we create that solution for the requirement, and discuss with the team members and whatever, and understanding the requirements, what making solutions to the requirements, and following that, using kind of tools if you want to present the peer to a lead or some other head of you. So you're using a kind of tools like HLD and use case diagrams and whatever that tools, we just have prepared the solutions into that. And so that the entire that we can create the solutions into the SLD formation.
Right.
Yes.
Perfect. Perfect.
So yeah, sorry, some points I missed that before that. So I just want to say that what is the
No,
process
it's
into
not
that.
missed, right? We are still understanding. We are learning. So please don't, pardon yourself. We'll basically see, learn, right? We evolve. So there are certain things which I believe like my duty, right? See, let me tell you, the best example I've heard from UML forefathers. I discuss this thing in every training. I've discussed earlier. I'll discuss it again. To make a tea, now, to make a tea, I need to collect a pot, pour the water, put the pot on a gas stove, get it boiled, pull the tea water, pour the tea in my cup, and start drinking. If I don't want sugar, if I don't want cream, if I don't want to have adrak, gingers, and all those sort of words. But when I get up in the world, when I get up in the real world, I need to search for the pot. यार कल किसने किधर रखा था, right? Means this is a practical scenario. So we need to search for the pot, and this is the extra thing which I need to do for preparing the tea. If I am the alone person, I know where I kept the pot last time. So this is how we improve, this is how we build, this is how we adopt to the best possible solutions and best possible scenarios. So as we discuss, how do I improve process? I'll keep the pot near the tap. So wherever there is a tap, I'll put the pot hanging there with the hook, so that whenever I'm not normally totally woken up, so I need a tea to wake myself up. So I'll collect that pot from the hook, which is very much near to the tap, because that's where the thing fits in, right? You can relate, right? You can understand these things clearly if we use some sample like these. So I'll put the pot near the tap, so that I'll pull the pot, fill the water, and put near the gas stove. And if now the house architectures are in a such way, the tap and the gas is near, so I don't have to walk 500 meters to put that pot on a gas filled with the water. Could you understand me? Could you relate this to the improvements or evolution of a human life as well? So BA, I try to evolve. I try to build myself better day by day, and that's how we're going to work. Right? Does that make sense, ma'am?
Yes.
Great.
Yes.
Every day we can learn new things, right? So
No,
yeah, so I'm learning still.
no, okay. So don't say sorry. It's evolution. That's how we learn. Okay. Anybody else want to go ahead? Swati, ma'am.
Yeah, hi all.
Yeah,
Yeah,
please go ahead.
business analyst is a person who collects and gather all the information from stakeholders. He will try not to miss out any information. Sorry. He will record all the meetings so that he can create the scope and requirements in the document manner. So he will get BRD to collect all the suggestions and requirements to present the document to the developers. Then he will prepare SRS, that system requirement summary. So he will fill up that information under as per the requirements of the stakeholders, and he will provide that document to developer, and then accordingly he will work. The developers will work as per the needs of the stakeholders. That's what I understood from this.
Perfect, perfect. I believe you explained it in a IT words. Means this is what the exact typically information technology company will explain it. So you use the correct words, and thanks to that, you explain it really concisely and completely. Believe me, that's really good. Thanks to all. Anybody else want to explain in their words? Anybody? Did I missed? Rudra, do you want to explain in your words? I believe Rudra is busy. No problem. Anybody else? Okay, let's go ahead. Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay, so business analyst would take information from the stakeholders, sorry, and basically use that data. Sorry, he would have or she would have to cater to those stakeholders' wishes. Be it like, I want to make this app, more to the youth or anything, right? It could be literally, we're trying to make this
Yeah,
business.
product, project, services, anything. That's right.
Right. Yeah. And then just make it more in line with those wishes, basically. But what she said was on the spot. That was perfect.
Exactly.
I can't reproduce that, but yeah, that's really
No, that's okay. See, we're going to have these recordings, right? So you can go through it. You can really align with the words. Means that's really great things. And that's where we want to be. That's how we want to get evolved. And don't worry. Now we are started using these words, so that we are getting more near to the IT fraternity. And as an BA, I normally work with IT fraternity, so I should start using these heavy or big words. Even they have some simpler words we can use. But yes, this is a part of IT fraternity. So welcome. Okay, so last time I believe we left at we've done this definition, right? We were Yes, we were basically we were trying to understand the overall requirement life cycle, right? So we collect the requirement, we have the requirement propositions, we build a traceability in a requirement, so that all the requirements which I have created can be traced out, can be actually related to each and every functionality in the solution, in the project, product, or services which I'm offering to the client, right? So this traceability is an important part for the QA/QC and the other factors which are working with me as a team, so that these functionality can be one requirement to many functionalities, or many requirements to one functionality. Okay, so these type of one to many, or many to one type of relationship will be analyzed in QA/QC processes, so that whatever client have been asked, are we supplying it in total, are we supplying it in totality, because that will make a complete solution. But we do develop functionality one by one at a time, or many at a time, depending on the length and breadth of the development team. So it's really crucial for a BA, if he is working in a BA QA advisory capacity, to keep track of these requirements. So what I use something called RTM, requirement traceability matrices. This pronunciation does differ, and Rudra last time he explained how this matrices will be pronounced correctly in US in American verbality format. Okay, so let's try to understand in depth. So we also maintain requirement. Now what we use agile methodology. So I develop one requirement at a time, or two requirement at a time, or three requirement at a time, and then this development goes for a week at the most, and then this goes to the QA/QC. Now QA/QC team will review this, will check it against the requirement compatibility. So when development teams develop something called ID scanner implementations at QA/QC, within after few days, they'll check this ID scanner, if the solution developed, if the software developed is working fine with the Philips iris scanner, with the Sony iris scanner, right? So those kind of things are checked. And me as an advisory capacity, I know if these are part of solution, if these are exclusion of a solution, if this is what you call value add. So these things basically, as an BA, I can vouch for, I can keep checking too. So I work in an advisory capacity in QA/QC type of processes, or even development processes, because they are going to develop whatever you keen in. Me as an BA, requirements have been developed to solutions. So this solution implementation is done by the, or solution creation is done by the development team, so that even I can advise them, this is the right color, that is not the right color, this is the correct part of a functionality, that is not the correct part of the functionality. So even in something called functional requirement specification, which is normally created by the designers and the architects of the world, I am an approval in advisory capacity. So I can clarify the development implementations functionalities so that they are perfectly in line with the client. So as Lina ma'am correctly explained, I am a bridge between two different worlds, because technology people, they don't talk business, and business people, they normally don't go to a level of technology. So as an BA, I am a bridge between the business and the technology. So what I do, I understand what business need. I basically translate into the implementation level of a development, so that they know I need to fit iris scanner in this solution, and this is how it gets fitted in overall part of the gamut of technologies or services we as an Infosys providing to the state farm, right? And then these development keep happening progressively in agile. So I do prioritize requirement. So sorry, not I, it's basically we as a development team, they prioritize requirement within the scrum meeting, that we will see after this training capsule how the scrum meeting happens, how we prioritize, how we change the priority and scenarios for a given requirement, because we develop part by part in these solutions, and we keep building these solutions sequentially or parallelly, in all those possible way, as far as agile framework supports us. Okay, it's really evolved and developed framework which I'm going to use for development. So me as an BA is in advisory capacity to make sure whatever is being developed, whatever is being checked, whatever is going to get to go to the client is perfectly in line with the requirement which I have collected earlier, whichever mentioned in the use case, HLD, and with all the support data I have depicted in my Excel sheets, Excel pie chart, Excel bar chart, or whatever the way I have presented it. So I have to make sure in an advisory capacity the solution which is created by an organization is perfectly in line with the business requirement. Sorry, do you have any question? Please go ahead. Okay, I believe she's talking. No problem. So yes, so there we go. Okay, and now we'll try to understand what are the different roles we play. Okay, I think I missed this one. Okay, this is related to that. So what are the different roles we are normally closely related to as in BA, right? So BA, how we work in a product, we try to associate with the product man. No, sorry, this is for the overall our career expansion, or how do we grow as an BA. So for a product company, I can start with a business analyst. I can go to a level of product associate manager, because he is in charge of a small part of team, right? And then I can be a product manager who manages the product, who manages the support, who manages the entire life cycle of a product. That's how the normal seniority happens. If you don't add anything as a new to your career by learning or enhancing yourself, be it to a consulting business analyst, to a consultant, or a domain SME, we talked about, right? Domain and SME is basically subject matter expert. So whenever a BA goes for a requirement gathering and he come across a domain where he have not experienced so much, so what he do, he leverage something called subject matter experts within my organizations where I am working. So like we understood from a sample, when we go to State Farm, I have a challenge with the iris scanners. So how to choose correct iris scanner? I asked my project manager saying, boss, I'll need an SME or COE. SME is subject matter expert, or COE is a center of excellence. So what PM will do? PM will find the subject matter experts on iris scanners. So this guy will meet me, or this will have a Zoom call as far as current scenario goes, and he'll guide me. There are few scanners available. Philips at $100, Sony at $300 or $400. We have to choose between these two, because last time we have supplied this to so and so client. This is what we have our learnings from. This is how we implemented the best practices to get along with the iris scanner implementation to any solution, right? So I'll take it from him. I'll include those things in my SRS within the respective para of understanding how to make best possible solution with all these third party product details or third party integration which I need in my solution. right? So these kind of scenarios. So I can be a domain expert when I start implementing solution. I can be a principal. Principal is like a product owner. So if Infosys build, right, start to build new product line, let's say financial, some product. They have a financial product called iFlex or iFlex Cube. iFlex Cube. This is a banking solution which is supplied all over the globe in almost, I think, 200 plus countries, and there it's a banking application. So whenever you install this banking application, it's quite related to the bank day-to-day working. So you have account, new guest registration, account opening, overdraft facility, locker facility, the what to do in case of RTGS or web transfer, how we can make it digital money transfer, and so on and so forth. So a principal is kind of very senior SME who know all the thing, or a product owner is a person who knows everything about a product. So a banking domain expert, on top of that, whatever I've developed within that product, whatever I've developed within that solution, that's how criticality basically gets built in, due to years of experience, due to years of domain experience. Then I can be a partner because normally for all taxation and other purpose, you create a separate entity, separate company, separate organization for a really famous product, right? In that scenario, like if there are many companies who get broken by government, by federal rules, like you can't have monopoly, like take case of Thomas Alva Edison's company, right? GE has been broken into 6 different companies. There was a big lawsuit, and they broke it. So government forcefully broke this company so that the revenue gets shared across the corporate world, and that's how it happens. So then if such thing happen, that product can be is a flagship product for a new company, so I can be a partner there, I can be a top boss. So this is how the progression happens in a consulting framework. Then as far as the architect is a person who basically design the solution, who makes sure whatever BA given as a vision of a solution can be implemented to the nth level. Okay, so what you do as a business analyst, you can move to a senior business analyst, so you are still utilizing your business analysis practices in the best possible way. Then you can be a business architect. Business architect designs the solution for the business, so it's conceptualize the solution to the next level. It's basically try to depict class diagram, functionals, methods, technologies, the versions of it, and the revisions of it, and so on and so forth. And then he can be a senior business architect. Senior business architect normally leads 3 or 4 products at a seniority level. So this is how the overall BA progresses. BA to overall digital transformation. So if you want to climb the organizational levels where we are working, this is the most simplest and straightforward level. So as a business analyst, you go to a senior business analyst, you go to the enterprise architect, that's an organizational architect, which have a normal progression from an analyst to an architect, and then you can be a vice president of so and so solutions you're giving, vice president technology, vice president solution, and there could be many levels, and then you can go to a CXO level. These are the normal career progression for each and every business analyst in a normal world, and these are happening. These have been happened basically, to be precise. Does anybody have any questions for me at this moment?
Yes. Can I get the slides to this maybe after class?
Could you speak a bit louder? I couldn't hear you.
Yes. Sorry. Can I get the slides after class?
Yes, I believe I shared some. Yeah, I'll share the other ones as well. No problem. I'll share it with the class.
And do we have to choose which path we want to take, or?
Rather, I'll put it to the situations, because my likings, even there are quite a few things which I don't know. Means if you really understand the Maslow theory, right? There's a great HR scientist called Maslow. He have his theory. There are certain things which I don't know about myself. There are certain things which I know myself, which I know. Yeah, it's a bit of tricky to understand. and many have done PhDs on Maslow theory. They call it Maslow theory of human needs, to be precise. And
Yes,
it's
I heard
really
this.
great to understand and to learn, because as my career progression, there are certain discipline which I choose because I like, which I choose because I know I have worked it, and from my experience, there are certain things which I think I would look best in those clothes, or I will look, best in that positions, or in that corner big office with glasses and all, with a good chair and all. So this is how we, what I can say, think about our careers. So rather than me choosing this tick, that tick, what I'll really, think it, spend an year or two in a given profession and then decide. Okay, just to add to that, you can do certification. If you really like the profession, you can do certifications are the, the certificate will enhance your career to the next level very quickly, and you can climb these ladders faster than the others who don't do certification. Okay, so I believe this is the right time to discuss about certification. There are two major certification authority in BA. One is called IIBA, the other is called PMI, Project Management Institute, and International Business. Oh man, I forgot the full form of IIBA. Just give me a minute. I'll try to have written it somewhere. So let me share that thing with you. And with this certification, I really make myself kind of stamped and certified by this authority, so that I can go to such corporate world with all my might and knowledge, and I can leverage up to a great level, right? So that is the best thing I can do for what you can say, earlier career progression, or my career progression on fast track. So something like that sort, right? So there are couple of certification. If you go to, okay, let me try to find that IIBA. The company or the website you are looking for is iiba.org. I'll put in a chat so that you can go to this thing, and the other is uh, .pmi.org, right? These are the two best certifying authority for a BA, right? Let's discuss one by one. Let's try to understand what each of these body gives in terms of certificates, or basically can guide a BA to best possible certifications available. Okay, so if I go to, let's say, iiba.org, it's International Institute for Business Analyst, this IIBA. It's in existence for quite a few decades now, and they really do, they really support the overall analysis standards and so on and so forth. Even I have shared basically the BA book with the old team, with the new team. I'll share it shortly, so that's the kind of Bible which business analyst people refer to. It's called IBA book, BA book, yes. I believe I have a slide for that as well. Yeah, this diagram is from a BA book. Means the career progression diagram is from the introduction chapter of the BA book itself. So that's how important is that IIBA is, and then other is PMI. PMI is also one of the most old project management certification institute, right? So we have certain really good certifications for business analyst here, right? So okay, let me go. And even there are certification for agile management, there are certification for various other purpose also. But yeah, let me try to yes, PMI professional in business analyst, that's what the certification name of PMI thing, right? So we can go to such institutes, or go to such certification authority and get it certified. Even Guru Schools helps you to get certified. So we had certain really good collaboration with certifying authority, or those exam taking centers, so that you can get certified quickly, rather than keeping doing certification for couple of months, right? So we can really fast track the certification processes with all these help of these exam centers, or question banks and all. So certification is a kind of next step, understanding where I want to go. and how easy I feel as far as overall understanding of a domain, or which track I can bear best adhere to. But I believe as of now, Rudra, for you as well, you are quite young now, so once you have a couple of years of experience, then you can start understanding what are the likings, because there are certain things in BA you might not like. It can happen, right? And it's kind of overall 10 to 12% of the overall unlikable things. Yes, it's in every profession, not just BA. Means you can be CEO, CTO, and there could be 10 to 15% things which you don't like. This is how the Maslow theory clears understanding of the roles and responsibility and the balance in between. And there's something called work-life balance. There's something called enjoyment, satisfaction of work culture, and so on and so forth. So this is how we learn, this is how we evolve, right? So for that we need to do certain things, we need to work somewhere, we need to understand the working culture, the working tools and technique we use day by day, so that as in personality I can make sure how I am fitting it in, right? So for that we need to have give certain time to ourselves, so that we know, we can understand, because this is nobody else can tell you. Means I can't tell you what Rudra will like, or how Swati will like, what Swati will like, which color, which environment, and so on, so because you as an individual person have your own thought process, have your own visions, have your own likings and likes and dislikes, right? So that's how we grow. And that's why whenever you have time, just try to research on Maslow theory of human evolution, and you'll try to understand. Darwin talks about the evolution in very early stages. Maslow talks about growth in a personal life, and he has something called pyramid and blah 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 things. Okay, I am a techie person. I read a lot, so these things like these come out of me whenever you ask questions. So if you don't ask question, you will not learn. If you ask question, these are kind of bonus things which we'll learn together and we'll grow together. Pardon me for if anybody feels I wasted their time.
What if you know what you want to do?
Come again, please.
What if you know what you want to do? So, like, let's say I wanted to do digital transformation.
Wow, that's really great. If you know, again, I'll quote Maslow. See, there are certain things which we don't know, we know. There are certain things which we know. Rather, we believe we know, but still there are certain angles or corners to it. So experience does make it very crisp and clear. Experience is what you can say, sharpening your axe, or trying to understand me as a person better, right? So if you know, then frankly speaking, you can do certification of a business analyst, so that which will really push you to the senior business analyst in 1 or 2 years itself. And then you can be an enterprise architect. So what does enterprise architects do? They have certain patterns knowledge, they have certain framework knowledge. Now we talked about framework of software development methodology. Now here we talked about patterns, repetitive pattern of solutioning. So if I'm building a solution for bank, how other bank solutions works? What are the things which my solution lacks? So I'll adapt those things within my solution. I'll make my solution more prone or more working across the world. As a director VP, I'll try to understand sales of this solution, where I can sell this solution better. And at a CXO or at a top management, I'll try to understand how I can make bigger profit, because my salary depends on profit. How I can make that solution more profitable. So these are just things which I'm sharing with you, because this is coming from my experience. I'm working in IT for around 26 years plus now. So I have worked as an enterprise architect. I was a VP or general manager. I am a CTO of a company currently, and that's how I've learned these things. So this is how the career progresses now. And for that, I need to understand myself. Even today, sometimes I feel, oh man, CTO is the one of the worst posts to be, because everybody comes to you with their technical problem. This is like a doctor practitioner working in a clinic. Everybody comes to you with all dukhi cheras. Means you are sad, you are having problem with your leg, your heart, your lungs, your eyes, your mouth, and whatnot. And they just come with me all the problem. So this is how the medical practitioners thinks. Right? Are you with me? Could you understand what I'm trying to say here? Hello.
Yes, understood
Okay.
completely.
Am I audible?
Yeah, yeah, I hear you. Yeah, I
Okay.
understand completely.
So these things we need to learn as in person, and this thing we need to adopt to, because frustration is really bad thing for a life. It kills your enjoyment, right? So what I'll really suggest from bottom of my heart as a friend, first let's try to experience working as a BA for at least 6 months to a year. That are my personal suggestions. As far as certification or fast tracking your course goes, fast tracking your career in a certain domain, you can start doing this certification. They'll add value and they'll really fast track your career. If you're trying to get 80 100, you'll get 120 salary because of this certification, because all these organizations, they have incentive to clear this certification if you clear such certifications, right? Because it's help their standardization of processes, right? And the certification will make sure you know the best practices in the industry. That's how the certificate works, right? So once you have the domain knowledge, once you understood how BA works, the more part you learn are the best practices. How do I create best use case in the world? How do I create best HLDs in the world, best high level diagrams in the world, right? And that's why we have hands-on workshop. So we get better day by day. We build a couple of HLD, we build a couple of use case diagram, and that's how we progress. That's how we grow, right? So let's give it some breathing space. Let's try to understand what I want to do, which track is the best for me. Okay, we will again understand this line at the end of our workshop, the last big workshop, right? So please start thinking, keep thinking, okay, and we'll learn together. Any questions for me at this moment?
No.
No, we are fine.
You're
I'm
good,
fine.
right? Okay, great. And if you have a question, please feel free to ask. Okay, just to add to that, if I miss that thing, we are going to start a new batch of a BA, QA, QC, Agile Scrum training from 14th of December. That's Monday, coming Monday, right? So all of us is going to get clubbed with that group or with that batch. Okay, so this is kind of overall last revision class we are having. We will not have revision class. We'll have our current batch as progressed as we were doing before. Okay, so we are trying to learn QA QC capsule in our normal batch, which will be tomorrow same time, 9:30 to 11, and you can all join, you can all listen. Okay, and you can all join in the new batch as well, where we start on a BA, understanding BA roles and responsibility in depth from the scratch. Okay, this was a kind of fast track revision we took for a couple of late attendees. I'll request all attendees to attend the new batch as well, so that we can understand the BA in depth, right? So let's try to do that. New batch will be on consecutive day, right? So okay, this batch we had on Monday, Wednesday, Friday and Sunday, right? Can
Yes.
Yes, yeah.
anybody?
The
Right,
old,
so I believe come again please.
the old one. Yeah.
Yeah, the old one, right? So the new one will be on the other days. Okay, so we have to start on 15th. So we'll start on 15th. The new match will be on 15th. So 15 is like no 15 is Tuesday, right? So it'll be on a Tuesday, Thursday and Saturday. So that batch will be on a 3 day, and then whenever the old batch finishes, we'll start accommodating on Sunday as well. Okay, so this is how. So we'll start on 15th of December. Okay, so this will be the last revision class. Day after tomorrow, we will not having revision class. We'll have a new batch start from Tuesday, 15th December, 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay, just I'm mentioning because if anybody have missed those things, and there'll be a clear cut meeting link, username, password in the group. At least 1 hour prior to this, so that you can click on that link and join. Okay, let's move on ahead. Let's try to understand what is exactly analysts is a process, what analysts do day by day. Okay, so let's try to understand. This is also a picture from BA book framework. Okay, so BA book will try to understand the mission, principle, and goals from the aspiration. So when I talked about VPHR, he's an aspirant, right? He's trying to build a better attendance management system for State Farm. So he had some mission in place. He had some thought process in place. He has some principles for his organizations to be modified, to be applied to the new solution. Then he had certain goals in mind which have to be achieved. Okay, now what as an analyst, what I do, I try to create measures for these aspirations. I create data, I collect data. So when you say mission, I'll try to collect data points. I try to collect methods, how we can achieve these things. So mission, principles, and goals gives me data and collection methods. Collection methods, we normally use 12 or 13 or 12 or 15 such techniques as an BA to collect data, right? These techniques are something called brainstorming, sitting together and trying to understand a problem. Some technique called interviewing. So I go and meet VPHR, I go and meet the HR executive and try to understand his challenges in current attendance management system. There are other 10 to 12 such data collection methods which I follow as an building my measures, right? Building my data points, building my use case diagram for each and every functionality, and then collecting or building my SRS to the totality. So this is how we do, right? And then something called, we also work with tactical measures. So VPHR can give me some action areas. He'll tell you, like, their corporate office in Abana Champagne, the State Farm office, they have 4 gates. So they need to have all those biometric attendance system which we were supporting or we are suggesting to the State Farm will be installed on these 4 different gates, so that whenever a new employee joins, he can be validated, verified, and he's authenticated to the to enter in the office. If some guest comes, then I have a policies and processes in place so that an employee can accompany him to get it cleared from the gate. Or a security guard will have some visitor badge which will be biometric enabled, so that whenever that badge is shown to the scanning machine, ID scanner or biometric, they will assume that this guest is entering into the office at so and so time. So I can also include such tactical measures. Tactics are basically temporary alignment to the business goals. Strategies are a very long-term alignment to the business goals. Okay, then out of tactics, I build some activities and processes. Like I told you, right? A guest come, guest. So how do we do guest? Guest get registered with the security. Security alarm, assigns him a gate card or a visitor pass or whatever it may be, which can basically let him enter the office. And which to the policy basically implemented by the top management of State Farm, so that the system, tools, and solution supporting all tactics, we build some forms and template, because the new person who is entering have to identify himself. How I need to collect his name, address, photo ID, and get it verified for my system, that my system can let him enter into the office. Okay, does that make sense? Does that are we understanding analysis as a process? And any confusion on this? Anybody?
No, I'm good.
Wow, this is great. Everybody is understanding what I'm trying to say. I'm the luckiest trainer on the earth. Believe me. They should,
No, you're a good one. You're
no,
logical.
thanks. No, I am the lucky one, I will say. See, if you don't have confusion and if you're not thinking enough, then it's difficult to learn, right? Because then the conflicts will come at the end of the class, which have, as we talked about, like, the rework is really expensive at the end of the solution development. So this is how we do. We think now, we try to push our thought process to a level where I'll try to understand, so how the activities are related to tactics. Is it same in my real life? Because this is all real life, right? We are building vision. We are nurturing a baby from a thought process or a business requirement, right? So this is how the work is really philosophical. Means it's not a technical, it's not a labor work. This is really intelligent work as an analyst we're doing. So try to understand. And as I told you, right, I'll repeat again, this is a critical role. We normally talk to all senior people of the world. I normally talk to VPHR. I normally talk to CEOs, CTOs in my organization as well. Because whatever, I do, I'm building an engagement with a new client. I'm starting a new product line. I'm starting a new support line or a service line. That's how critical the BA is. Okay. So unless we ponder much, unless we think it through, it's difficult to analyze. And that's what this diagram depicts. It's really great diagram from BA book. So we need to keep learning, keep asking questions, so that I can guide you better. We can learn together, we can discuss together. Okay, let's go ahead then. I believe there are no questions, so let's go ahead. So the basic thing which I do as an BA is learning to gather requirement. Okay, so what do you mean by gathering requirement? I am trying to address a business problem with a solution, right? The client, as in State Farm, is sharing his business problem with me as an analyst going to visit him, or on a Zoom call, like nowadays. So on a Zoom call, the VP from State Farm trying to explain me how the what are the problems in his attendance as of day. Okay, so I'll try to understand. Okay, so how do I solve it? I need to have certain automated mechanism, and to have certain mechanism which will stop the creep, which will make sure whatever I'm trying to implement is basically will be a foolproof, available 24/7. And I'll basically try to give him a solution which is within his budget. And yeah, within his budget, I have not spoken about budget till now, but here I'm trying to add that, because now as a business analyst, I can't offer to sell plane to a guy who don't own a bike. This is a phrase, right? Because if you're trying to give a solution which is not at all implementable, or which is not at all realistic, it'll go haywire. That's a kind of failure as in personality on a BS part, right? So I'm trying to understand business problem and providing solution. And this is how I define the project, product, or services, right? So what is a project? Project is a one-time activity which is basically a development partner do for a client with a specific targets in mind, right? So there are project, PRODUCT, product, and services. I service to the client. So I normally do any of these things. So I can be a new solution for a project, I can build a product, or I can build services for my client, and I am defining it. The labeling is important. When I call it attendance management system enhancement solution, it reflects the exact solution which I'm talking about, right? So these kind of solution definition, project definition, product definition is done by BA by himself, right, or herself. So this is how the criticalness of a BA starts, getting notice, or playing his part. Then there's elicitation. Elicitation is basically evolving these requirements. So when somebody says, I have a challenge with my current attendance management system, what I'll think, okay, attendance management system. So somebody has to get attended. So what I need to have his ID. I need to understand the person, and I just need to collect the time of entrance. That's all. That's all overall attendance does, right? Does it do anything? Yes. We can think about leaves. We can think about the late comings and its replications or repercussions in other systems like salary, leaves, deductions, and blah 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 things, right? So there are certain things, but let's try to start with the two basic concepts of eliciting the attendance management system. I need to take his name, I need to take the time he enters. The other things the system or the solution can do. So to do this correctly, what I need an automated mechanism. I need the latest technology mechanism, so that it will be done automatically. There has to be no manual intervention, so that whoever puts his finger or his eyelid or a body scanning, he will get attended, or he will get marked present with the date and minute and second and nanosecond of the word, so that the system can track his attendance. track his exit, track his, you know, in between leaves, going out, going in, and so on and so forth. So this is what we call elicitation, evolving of a requirement. Then what do I do? Analysis. I'll analyze. Is it practical? So what's practical? To implement biometric? Well, there are certain ways and means by which, you know, these guys can still do attendance scraping, or you can do proxy. Retina scanner, iris scanners, yes, they are the best, I believe. And they are not as costly as body scanners. I can have body scanners, no problem. Body scanners can be used for other purposes also. So if there's a need of a hi-fi security measures, like, you know, no gun entry and, you know, the other things, then I can go for a body scanners. But normally I believe spending for iris scanners look really feasible, and it's really in line with the business. So I'll analyze to a solution of a given problem with the best possible scenario, as someone from you clearly and correctly explained. So I'll try to find the best option of a solution available. Then documentation. I need to document this thing because I need to present it to the parties, right? I need to present it to the client. I need to present it to my organization also, because they are going to build the solution. Means if I'm working with Infosys, I need to present to the Infosys top management so that they'll be ready, or they'll basically gauge a budget for such solution, right? Procuring an iris scanner, procuring body scanner are two different entities. $100, $1,000. Means if you really, you know these values of the scanners, and, you know, try to gauge the cost or the return on investment, what they call normally. So if you invest $100, how soon I can get those back from the business? Those kind of scenario, right? If anybody is working in financial market, they can clearly explain you well and good in those terms. What do you mean by return on investment? How we build this return on investment, and how effective it could be for a solution, right? We can discuss it afterwards, but for a time being, we have to understand, we need to implement some cost effective measures. We need to support some cost effective solutions for a given business problem, right? And then as an BA, I build a traceability, so that whatever requirements these guys have given to me are traced back to the product implementation or the services which product can offer. And then sign off or approvals, let me call it approval as well. What does approval sorry, ROVALS. Okay, I missed the spelling. So what is sign off means? Sign off means approving the document, approving the images you have presented, so that it can be processed to the next level. As I told you, SRS is a base document where we create solutions, products, and services, right? And then we build some document called functional requirement specifications or other documents, which will be kind of Bible for the new solution, new product, and services, whatever we're going to do for these guys, right? It's do for the client, basically, whoever came to you with the requirement or a business problem, right? That's how the overall requirement gathering works, right? So I go from understanding a business problem, I go to a elicitation level where I expand, I evolve the requirement to a level where I can devise a solution. Then I analyze these solutions. I try to compare various solutions, and then I go and, you know, decide one solution so that it will be the best fit for a given scenario, best fit in terms of costing, best fit in terms of can do, or, you know, feasibility, right? Those scenario as well. And then I build documents for those solution which I'm going to suggest, right? Because thinking doesn't solve the problem. You need to implement it somewhere. You need to write it down somewhere. So what I do documentation. What type of documentations? I detailing the functionality via use case diagram. I create document called system requirement specification with the template given by my organization I'm working with. And then I have some additional supporting material called high level diagram, which is a kind of bird's eye view of a given solution. So I collect all these things. On top of that, I might require to collect some data points for my presentation to make it foolproof, to make sure if there are any alternatives available, how they are not a good fitment, how they are a good fitment, and those kind of scenario which I present with some Excel sheet data presentation, pie chart, bar chart, and all those things. And these documentations I go to a top management I present this as a person. Yes, business analyst goes and present this to top management so that they can go give a go ahead saying, okay, this is in line with our business process and policies, and so we are ready to take this as an solution offering to the state farm. Because as an Infosys, as an organization where I am working for, they have certain policies and processes. So there could be some contradiction with the solution offering. So they might do, might not do. Okay. So these kind of scenario, I need to get validated from the top management. And on top of that, there's a budgetary constraint. So Infosys with a new client called State Farm or an old client of called State Farm, they have certain benchmarks. As in matured organizations, they'll say the base minimum project which I can do with State Farm is $10 million. That's the basic minimum benchmark for a qualification of a project or product or solution, right? And the max I can do with $2 billion. So these are the benchmarks created by the top management for organizations like Infosys within themselves, because we learn from our mistake, right? There are certain product or support services which I'll not do for petty dollars, because that's not my organizational level to work at, right? So there are certain benchmark in terms of speed, time, budgets. This has to be verified with the top management, so they do. And as a business analyst, I need to present this. I don't present the budgets to them, I present the solution to them, and they'll discuss within this solution like how budgetary formation are taking place. So when I present with my presentation PPT like this to the top management, including my sales manager, which I have accompanied me to the state farm meeting, I present it to these guys and get them approved on these, so that then this product, project, solution, services will came into existence by the development team where I work as an advisory capacity. Have you understood this? Any details you need? Anybody want to discuss anything or any confusion?
I think I'm good.
We are good. Let's go. Okay, there's a video. Let's watch this business analyst training, how to do requirement gathering. Let's try to understand how these business analysts work in a real day, real job, and how they can basically how they are collecting requirements, right? So let's try to understand from okay. Okay, give me a minute. I'm still trying to find the exact video. It's like business analyst training, how to do requirement gathering. Okay, sorry. Here, paste. Okay, yes, I found that. Just give me a minute.
Hello and welcome.
This is a small video to understand how a business analyst can do requirement gathering, right? So let's learn from the experts, or let's try to learn. I'll stop this share. I'll start another share where okay, give me a minute please. Okay, let's try to.
Welcome to my channel.
Could you hear him clearly?
On this channel, I talk about everything in regards to being.
Could you hear his voice?
I can hear.
Okay, let's
No,
go.
no.
No? Okay, I'll try to increase it a bit.
Analyst, so if you're
How about
interested,
now?
please make
How about now?
sure you guys go ahead and subscribe. It helps me a lot when you support the channel. With that,
Could you hear now?
Yeah, but it's breaking up.
Yeah, it'll take a minute to get stabilized. Yeah, it happens because of on the network we are playing, right? And I'll share this video in a group so that you can have a continuous without breakage what you can say review of this thing. Okay, let's go ahead.
being said, today's topic is going to be how to do requirements gathering. So what is requirements gathering? How do you go about it? What are all the steps involved? I'll be walking you guys through that process right now. So obviously the question is how to do requirements gathering. First of all, what is requirements gathering, right? That's the first question, the first step of this entire process. Well, I've got videos where I go into depth about this, about requirements gathering being the main thing that a business analyst does. You guys can go check out those videos. I also have a course, a beginner business analyst course, that I walk through in detail about this process. So if you're interested in that, link is in the description for the course. But with that being said, requirements gathering is the essential component of what a business analyst does. Okay, so essentially, requirements gathering and requirements documentation. That is how a business analyst achieves and tries to solve the problem. So again, whatever the problem is going to be for a business analyst, they are going to go ahead and try to elicit the requirements to understand that problem from stakeholders. Okay, so again, I've always drawn this upside down triangle for you guys to remember. So if I've got business, which I'll put short here for bus, the business stakeholders, and I've got the IT developers, you've got the BA that's going to be in the middle, and they are going to go ahead and elicit and gather the requirements from the stakeholders. Okay, so they're going to go ahead and get those requirements from the stakeholders. That is going to be the requirements gathering. And then after they gather those requirements, they're going to go ahead and then translate it into a way that the IT developers are going to be able to code it. Okay, because these two entities cannot speak to each other, that is where the business analyst comes into play, and they gather the requirements, and then they elicit or gather and elicit, and then they translate the requirements. Okay, so that is essentially going to be the first step in terms of understanding what exactly I mean by requirements gathering. Okay, what are requirements gathering, and how exactly do you do it? Okay, so that's really the first step here. And once you understand this, now we can go ahead and move into the next step, which is understanding really the project for yourself. Okay, so as a business analyst, the first thing that's going to happen is you're going to be assigned a project. Okay, once you're assigned a project, the first thing to do is understand what the project is about. Okay, you're, as a business analyst, a problem solver. Okay, the project is obviously going to have a problem. They're going to have something there that they are either trying to fix, they're trying to achieve, that they are trying to enhance, that they're trying to, find a way to make it work. So whatever that problem is, you need to understand what that problem is. Okay, and I use the IT world as my main example here because it's, that's the field that I'm in as a BA. So if it is a software change with a screen, and the project is talking about changing a screen, changing the components of a screen, that's the problem. Okay, the problem is they have a screen that is not as enhanced and optimized as they would like to, and they want to add these components, and whatever those components are, those minute details, those are going to be the requirements that you're going to be gathering. Now, I will get into that in a second here, but just understand you cannot move forward with this until you understand what exactly the project is going to be about. Okay, so you can't just go and expect to gather the requirements and you don't know. Okay, you need to understand what the problem is. Okay, now hopefully we're all on the same page here and we understand the first step, which is understand the project and what, hopefully you guys can read this, what is the problem being solved. Okay, so again, whatever it is, it could be anything. You could be updating a document, you could be updating a screen, you could be, changing a back end or front end. It doesn't matter, but you have to figure out what it is. Whatever that problem is that you are solving, understand it. Once you have understood it, and now you know, okay, I know what the problem is, I know what we're trying to solve, I know what we're trying to do. Now it's time to go ahead and set up meetings with the stakeholders. Okay? This is the next step. Set up your meetings with the business stakeholders. So once I've understood the problem, I'm ready now to go ahead and move on to gather these requirements. So again, the example I always use, which is easy to understand, is a screen being updated, okay? You've got a screen, a software that, the company wants to optimize, the business, I should say, the business stakeholders want to optimize. They've got a bunch of different things they want to do to this page, and they expect you as the business analyst to be able to understand all of the changes so that the developers can go ahead and then code those changes and update the screen. So since you have understood that that is a problem to update the screen, now you set up the meeting with the stakeholders, okay, to do what? To do what I like to call discovery. Okay, now again, requirements gathering, requirements elicitation, same thing. You're discovering the requirements, okay? All right. I'm talking to my stakeholders now. I'm understanding. Okay, we are trying to change the screen, okay? And I know the reason why we're trying to do it. It's not as optimized. And now the question becomes, how or what are these specific changes, okay? So as the PA, you need to ask the right questions. You need to make sure that no stone is unturned. Ask everything about the requirements, okay? So I'll use the example of the screen. What are all the components being changed, being impacted, okay? And what are the, impacts for these other changes that we're not touching? So if it's a toggle, if it's a button, is it, something that we're doing to optimize, a certain area? Like, you have to make sure that you are covering every single thing. So if the business says, basically it's simple, we're going to add 3 buttons on the page, and we're going to go ahead and maybe, remove this portion of it, and we want the screen to be a little, shorter, the text to change, the color should be this and that. So make sure you obviously ask all the right questions, and all the right questions are going to be making sure that all of the requirements are being captured. Now, again, this is also going to depend on the methodology, if I can spell, that you take. So you can have an agile versus a waterfall. Should have put a waterfall here. I don't know what I was writing there. Waterfall methodology. Now, again, these are 2 different methodologies. If you're not aware, check out my other videos. I also talk about this in my course again. And depending on this, this is really going to help you out, because what you're trying to do here, not just obviously understand all the requirements and capture every single one, you're trying to lock down the scope, okay? Because here's the thing. In an agile format, the scope, making sure that it's locked down, it doesn't have to be, as strict and stringent, because you've got multiple sprints where you can maybe make multiple changes. But in a waterfall methodology, once they've said, we're adding 3 buttons, and then they come back, the business, and says, no, we actually want 4, it's going to be tough to change that. So that's why I'm saying you want to make sure you ask all the right questions so that the business knows that these are the requirements that you have laid out to me, and I'm going ahead and I'm capturing those. You also want to make sure that you are asking the why. Now, again, you understand the project, but you also want to know, okay, you said we're adding 2 buttons here, but can we do 1 and, make it more efficient? Do we need 3 here? Like, those are the questions you need to ask, because if they just tell you, it's not going to be enough for you as the BA to just take it and write it down. You have to ask the why. You have to understand, really, okay, the reasoning for why we need 2 versus 3. Can we reduce it? Can we, go to 1? So ask all those questions. Make sure all of that is covered. And obviously methodology is going to play a part in here. And then finally, step number 3 is going to be the obvious step, is you're going to begin writing the requirements. Okay? So different ways to capture it. again, depends on methodology. If you go by agile methodology, you're going to do user stories. If you go by waterfall methodologies, you'll do something called a BRD, a business requirements document. Now, these are different ways to capture the requirements, but for the most part, it depends on methodology. But yeah, you can go ahead and you can start writing your requirements.
We'll also learn the best practices in gathering requirement as well. So, just try to understand how we capture as in BA as in requirement, right? So let's try to understand from his viewpoint.
Once you have done the discovery, now when I say set up meetings, these are meetings, plural, multiple ones, okay? More than likely, you're not going to get all the requirements in one meeting, or you'll have questions that come up, or you'll have concerns, comments, etc. And so you're probably going to need more than 1 or 2 meetings. And so once you've done all that, then you can go ahead and begin your writing requirements. But again, you don't have to wait to write the requirements until all of this is done. You can start this process and still do this and keep adding to it. Just make sure you understand that by the time you get all of the requirements, the scope doesn't change depending on the methodology that your project is in. Okay?
So he also talked about overall validation of the requirement as well, indirectly. So what he was doing, okay, where was I? Okay, so he was also, basically have detailed discussions on the validations, the repetitive thing of requirement gathering as well. So we normally have many meetings, at least 3 to be precise, and we'll develop the scope accordingly, right? And there are something called live document and a release document in documentation scenario, depending upon the framework do you follow. So what let's try to understand what you mean by a live document and what you mean by a release document. Live document is a document which gets updated day in, day out. So it's like kind of my scratch pad. It's like kind of my diary, right? Whenever I feel, I will write down my diary. I'll write down my today's experience, expenses or whatnot. And then there's something called release document. So what are release document? Release documents are basically, I have created it, I have written it in a completeness, and I release it to the next party. And then if I want to add anything, I'll have another version of it, another revision of it, another release of it, right? So SRS is a release document, BRD is a release document, FRS is a live document. BRD is business requirement document which came to me, if at all, in a template, or it came to me as an email, or it is normally came to me as in minutes of meeting, or through the voice recording which I have recorded in the meeting. So these are the form of BRDs. SRS is normally a Word document with the inclusion of use case diagram, HLD diagrams, Excel sheet, pie chart, and various other things, which is normally me as in BA authors, me as in BA creates with a given template for my organizations and releases it mostly week by week, because there are revisions. See, normally a BA works for anything between 2 weeks to 6 weeks. So he revised these things as per the meeting, as per the gathering new requirement, as per getting clarification for these requirement, and build this SRS. So the final SRS will come at the end of these 6 weeks. And then after 2 weeks, let's say if some client, someone from client's team come up and say, okay, why don't we add this functionality as well? Why don't we have guest pass for full body scanners? Or why couldn't we have a bypass to the biometrics which we have assigned? Or could we include the guest biometric as well? Or could we include iris scanning of the guest as well? So this is kind of additional functionality which, as a client, as a development partner, Infosys is happy to include it at certain extra cost, at certain extra scheduled development, or extra development of the development teams working, right? This thing happens. So these scenarios have normal and practical way, like we add these things in the SRS and release it again, right? As far as FRS goes, it's a live document. It's available on a shared space so that everybody can refer to it whenever they need it. And me in advisory capacity, even as in BA, can read or add his comments or modification requirement, contradictions and so on and so forth. But that's a live document. This is a release document. So that's why I have multiple meetings and multiple revision of SRS. So SRS is normally labeled with a version. Now versioning we're going to understand in BA Scrum, in quality control and quality assurance capsule. Versioning is a labeling of a document, saying whenever you try to release a document, it will labeled with a version number, and this version number in the requirement traceability matrix table, I have a clear cut understanding of the file name with the date it's released, author and the reviewers or the approvers and all these things, so that I can relate a version on a label to all the descriptions and the environmental factor which are at play whenever I release SRS. Does that make sense? I know there's a bit of quite a few new things to learn, but yes, we have to learn these things. We will understand these things whenever we come across QA QC type of our training capsule. Okay, anybody have any confusion at this moment?
I think I'm good.
Okay.
Can you give us an example? Like one day, I mean, after this whole class is done, like what questions you ask the stakeholders? Like maybe a past example,
Yeah, sure, definitely. I believe we did a small workshop when we were trying to write SRS, right? No. I think we don't. Okay. I believe, yeah. Let's try to that. Let's try to do this thing in the last big workshop where I can be a client and you can be a requirement analyst, right? So we can take a requirement on something like whatever we are discussing, right? How to build a new attendance enhancement type of solution. Let's do that thing, or we can take help of your exercise app, right? So I'll be a client or I'll be your product user, so that you can ask me a question and you can basically qualify, validate this requirement. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, great, no problem, we'll do that, no problem, no worries. Okay, anybody else have any question? Okay, let's go ahead. So now let's try to understand how requirement makes our life easy and difficult. Okay, and how to be on a better side, how to we really make sure whatever we collect as a requirement are concise enough, are competent enough to take it to the solution level. Okay, let's try to understand. So business shares with us the overall strategic goal. It tells us the overall competitive positions. It takes about market compliance. It talks about stakeholder engagement and all these things which are mentioned here. So business come with their background to the business analyst, right? And the projects or the development team have their own requirements, own set of what you can say nomenclature, where I need to fit these things, the business things into project things, right? That's why, as correctly mentioned, analysts are the bridge in between business and the development partners. Okay, so here I'm going to convert the strategic goal into the project scope or the project solution definitions, right? Then I'm going to analyze the competitive information or competitive positions, so that I can have a really good solution or a best possible option suggested to the business. Then market compliance, I need to choose for the latest technology for the least cost aversions, right? So these things I'll get aligned the project teams with the business goals, and that's what I do as in bridge, right? So I have to build in stakeholder engagement. I talk to people, I go to them, I ask a question, so that I have collected all their wish list. It is not necessary to implement all the wishes at one go, or it is not really necessary to include all wishes altogether, because there are some wishes which are not in line with my business goal or prime business goal. So there are some priorities, there are some scenarios to be considered whenever you qualify these requirements, right? So like this, we basically work in line with the business goal, in alignment with the basic business strategy. Like we've discussed, enhancing the attendance management system is my basic need. So whatever requirements, whatever the wish list comes to me, with these alignments, or with the with in parallel to this or in line with this basic business strategy, I'll include those things. Otherwise I'll invalidate those. So what I'll say, we will have another product, we will have another solution, so that we can include these these things, or I'll put these wishes to the phase 2 of the product, release 2 of the product, or so on and so forth. So the team within my organizations called Infosys can guide me on that for planning the next phase as well. So this thing actually practically happens like this only. So there are certain wish lists, there are certain requirements which I have collected, included in my first phase, and which some of them can go to the next phase, and so on and so forth. This is how it happens in a practical life, right? And there are some creation of business process efficiency, right? I am trying to improve the attendance management processes of my client, right? As we're talking about our sample. So I'm trying to improve the attendance management system at State Farm by automating it, by making it one solution throughout all offices, and so on and so forth. So these things, I need to create a positive user experience, so that whatever I'm going to give it to the State Farm will add value to it, this way. And then I have to really understand the basic bottom line requirement, where the basic business goal have to be met, and then the rest is all flora and fauna, right? So I need to understand or clarify the basic business goal to my development team as well, so that whatever whatever they do, they'll keep aligning to the bird eye view, to the HLD part of the world, so that their solution will conform to the basic major requirement of the stakeholders or the client, and then build all the other wish lists which are in line with them as per the additions or value additions to the given project scope or solution, right? And cohesive IT. So I need to address to the overall inclusion of the solution to the State Farm as well. So I need to implement a solution which is in line with their current scenario as well. So it will be basically kind of a technical portfolio inclusion of the new solution as well. So I need to check out the compatibility and cohesiveness of the IT landscape as well, right? And of course, I am working as an employee within Infosys, so I need to have follow the templates, I need to follow the processes whichever Infosys have given me, right? So I work in a disciplined manner. So all the poor requirements or any thought process of of shortfall have to be removed completely. That's the important thing as far as business analyst goes, and that's how I make sure all the requirement are correct, concise, with all the templates given to me, all the use case diagrams, all the HLDs I build. I'll make sure I will not miss a single requirement. So I captured all the requirement. I hand over this document to the development team, so that they can create solution for each and every of these requirements. There could be one solution for many requirement, or there could be many solution for one requirement. That happens in a practical life. So as an a reviewer, as an approver, as an BA, I vouch for this progress. How I am an active part in the whole progress of a vision to an actual solution, or a product or a service, right? Does that make sense? Anybody has any question for me
Yeah.
at this moment?
Why is this called poorly defined?
Okay, that's a kind of negative slide. I can understand that image labeled negatively. I can understand it too. But sometimes you need to give what you can say, see the other side of coin as well. So this is something like that slide. Yeah. So pardon me for that, but I keep it as we need to understand what we shouldn't do, right? So those kind of scenario. But everything it talks about the positivity. So the contradiction is there. I can understand clearly where you're coming from. Very great question. But the class and overall delivery of the lecture is will be positive, okay? But we need to understand this pitfall, so that's how I labeled it. Any additional confusion here?
How do we know that the requirement, what they have actually discussed with us, is poor? Who judges that whether the requirement is poor or it is like a complete package? Like, do we, because we have to dig into it, right? Define everything and ask
That's right.
questions.
Right, that's right. Okay. First of all, BA in person, BA as an individual will know if I am gathering requirement poorly or correctly. Second, we have a review mechanisms. So whenever I work in Infosys, there'll be review, and normally whenever you join, you'll work with 3 different BAs, and there'll be a BA lead or a senior BA, right? So whenever you go to a state farm, like important client of Infosys, you normally go with either 2 BA and a sales manager. So whenever you try to work on a SRS, first time, second time, all these documents will be reviewed by the sales manager himself, because he was there with you, right? And normally he'll also suggest to record this conversation, and that's a normal practice nowadays. We record the voice conversation of this meeting, so that as an BA, I'll replay it, and I'll to find if I missed anything. Even if it's a wish list, I'll mention it, like mera wala green, mera wala red. This thing keep happening in a requirement meeting as well, or other vision discussions. So I'll include these things, I'll mark there as an okay, not correctly environment or invalid requirement or too vague to implement, and these kind of scenario. This will learn. This is basically kind of organizational standard templarization work. So with the SRS, you get all these environmental factors, you get all these functional requirement, non-functional requirement, validated requirement, vague requirement, and all these kind of labels on a requirement. And that's how we write down these requirement. We'll have a look at these types of requirement as well. But as an BA, you are the prime judge of a requirement. Then and a secondary, you have audits, you have quality checks for these gathered requirement. So the other BA, including sales manager, will have a review meet for this SRS requirement gathering totality. This will be the first review which you have normally have with the SRS as a document. And then there'll be consecutive reviews, so that whenever we meet the top boss, whenever you present this solution to the top boss saying, okay, I'm as an BA or as an BA team, I'm looking forward to create this solution for State Farm. Now we have to sanction the budget. You'll not say we have to sanction the budget. The sales manager will say, okay, this looks really promising opportunity to start a new engagement or to take an engagement to the next level, and let's do this thing. So CEO, CTO of Infosys will say, or the regional sales head, or regional, all those heads will say, okay, yeah, let's do it. So what do you think? So they will discuss in front of you. Okay, this ID scanner, last time we had $100, $300. Last time like 4 months ago, so it might be 2% increase. So let's say $102, $105. Okay, this is doable. Means ballpark, it can go up to 10 million, which was our normal range of these type of client sanctions and those scenarios. So he said, okay, then there'll be legal persons as well who will check out the legality of whatever requirement or the support SLAs you support, you written down in your SRS. So this review makes the requirement more stable, more doable, more aligned with the business of client as well as mine. Okay, so there are many steps where you say how we validate the requirement, or how we basically zero down which has to be done, which we can't do, next phase, this phase, that time, this schedule, and all these things are basically happening through various tools and techniques which we do as an BA. Does this answer your question?
Yes.
Okay, great. So it's an evolving process. It's not a ribbon cutting ceremony. So what we do, we normally, as in part of organizations, will go to all such meetings. We'll go to all such, just give me a minute, please. Okay, so we as in part of organization, as in what you can say cog in a wheel, I try to validate these requirements. I try to work with these checks and balances. I try to be a part of this audit. Even I'm an auditor in many cases where as we discussed, we are a auditor in test case run reports audit, so that I'll make sure whatever run report have been presented to me is in line with the visions or requirement which I was I was developing for in the SRS. So these type of checks and balances is already in place wherever I'm going to work, and which will make sure there's no leakage, there's no creep, there's no what you can say pitfall in my overall maturity of documentation or maturity of requirement gathering. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And we are going to learn each of these things, so please don't worry.
Okay.
Right? We are at almost 9:30. So unless and until we have any questions here, I'll stop here. You can also ask your question on WhatsApp. Now we'll meet on 15th of December, right? Yeah, 15th of December at 9 p.m. sharp Eastern Standard Time, or if you are in India, 7:30 a.m. on 16th. That's so I'm just because there are some candidates from India as well, as I know. So I'm just mentioning those things, and normally we'll try to mention both the timings in my link because there shouldn't be any confusion. But whoever in US, we are at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on 15th evening, right? So please join us, and let's start our journey again from zero to be a great BA.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Raviji, can you send me the name of that book? Can you put it on?
Yes. I'll share the complete book with you. Believe me.
Oh, that's so big, wonderful.
So and yeah, it's copyrighted to IIB as an organizations, but I have the older version, right? So you can go through it, because if you want to the latest one, then you need to register on that. Okay. And then, but yeah, we will register eventually. Believe me. And as a friend, as a guide, I would love you to give at least one certification, which is entry level, because we cover everything whatever BA as an entry level needs. And for a next level, what they call certified business analyst, that's also you can easily qualify and easily clear the exam through. So if you we can do the first 2 certification on IIBA and 1 certification on PMI once you complete this course. So we are ready there, we are standing there. Only you need to walk some extra path, because there are some registrations to be done, there are some exam fees to be paid to these guys, and then we'll get this exam, right?
Okay.
Can you add me to the group? Okay. Whoever is not in a group, could you please coordinate with the coordinator or a recruiter whom they are working with, because I don't have the authority, or I don't administrate the group. I'm just a mere trainer. I just talk. That's all I do. Pardon me for that. Yes, I'll definitely help you. Madhuri ma'am wants to get added to the group, so I'll request Devji to basically facilitate, support you on that. Okay, please. We'll done. So please don't worry. Being in a group, we basically will come across all the communications. So it's better to be part of group, and you can keep asking questions and keep getting better. Okay, so we're going to learn these things, and for all the others team members who are with me from past 2 or 3 weeks, let's have a class tomorrow where we are trying to understand the overall quality control facilities which are supported by BA in an advisory capacity. Why I keep saying that? Because as in BA there are some prime responsibility, and there are some side what you can say non-prime responsibility, or wherever I make myself as a critical employee, right? Because as an organizations, as in part of organizations, the more I work, the more I not more I work is not a right statement, I believe. The efficiently I work, and the most I advise, right? Or the mostly I make the business process better day by day, so that way I can grow with the organizations as the business critical resource, and and that way I can align myself to a better BA. So that's how I work, and that's how I perceive. Okay, does anybody have any questions for me at this moment?
We're good. Thank you.
Great. Okay, so all most welcome, ma'am. So let's meet tomorrow, same time, 9 o'clock, or on 15th, same time, 9 o'clock. Okay.
Okay. Good night,
I would really
everybody.
request you to join tomorrow as well. Even if sorry, please go ahead.
No, I said good night, everybody. Sorry to interrupt you.
Okay, no problem. Let me complete. Give me a minute, please. We are also, I would request all of you to join even tomorrow's class so that we can understand. You can be a listening party as well, or you can ask questions. Asking question doesn't take anything. Okay. More or less, we can spend a couple of minutes more in the training. Please don't worry on that part. But let's try to, learn certain things. And if you heard it twice, it'll be better of hammering as well, right? So we learn, we get hammered, we will learn in depth. That's how I feel it as an, guide or a mentor. Okay. So I would really love to meet you tomorrow again, and let's try to understand the QA/QC process. Okay.
Thank you.
So then, goodbye from me. Good night.
Thank you.
And
Good night.
good morning, as per the world's region you live in. Thanks a lot. Let's, bye. Take care.